Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Join Terry with Tracer Rounds every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central to hear interviews with veteran artists, veteran business owners, and businesses that support veterans. Tune in to see if you're on target. Catch us on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and MB Radio, giving veterans a voice.
Welcome to Tracer Rounds, and I'm your host, Terry. And with me tonight is Terry Hutchins, and we've been friends for quite some time. I first met Terry at one of my assignments with the 5th Army. We were at the Joint Force headquarters in Oklahoma City. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We're happy to have you tonight. So Terry is a veteran.
I hope you all can hear me.
Yeah, we're having a little bit of connection problems, but we're going to be okay. We're going to figure it out. Terry is a veteran, and can you tell us a little bit about your service, how long, what your MOS, maybe some of your deployments, just how you entered the service? Just kind of give us a background of your military service, if you don't mind.
Okay. I didn't go into the Army. I went into the regular Army in September of 1986. And spent 3 years in there. I was a 16 Juliet radar operator. Initially went in to fly helicopters, but the recruiter forgot to tell me I was too old to fly. But anyhow, enjoyed my 3 years in there. Then I got out, come back. I worked at Michelin Tire Company. Like I said, I was 28. Did my 3 years, come back out. Everywhere I turned, I was a little too old for everything. Officers, warrant officer, and all that at the time. Anyhow, I signed up for the Guards, spent 6 years in Guards, and then I went AGR, Active Guard Reserve, as a recruiter for 8 years. And then after those 8 years, I did 1 year, 1.5 years as administrator. And then we got deployed to Iraq. And me and my son and my nephew all went to Iraq. Oh, wow. I guess I turned 50 over and he turned 21. Oh, but we come home. I made E8, and we came home, and they spent a year at my deal, and they told me to take a bus to rank or move to Oklahoma City. So I went to Oklahoma City. As well as you know, that's where I met you in the Joint Operations Center, the JOC, in Oklahoma City, and spent my last 5 years up there. And they gave me a little letter that I was through. I'd served my time and my 20, so I wound up with 22 active years and 6 years in Guards, so 28 years total.
Wow, that's awesome. And so did you have the same MOS the whole time you're in, or did you change MOSs?
No, ma'am. Well, like I say, I was a 16 Juliet radar operator. So when I got out of the Army, then I went into, whenever I went into the Guards, they put me in as I went into position as 88 November logistics.
Okay.
I went into the logistics part, and well, let me back up. I'm sorry. I went in as recruiter, and I was recruiter for 8 years in the Guards. After that, I moved. Well, I'm getting them confused, Terry. Hang on. I forgot there was just 6 years in there. I went in as 88 November in the Guards, and I did the 71 Lima. I did the 88 November, and I was even a cook for a while in there.
Oh,
then,
wow.
That's whenever I got the full-time job as recruiter. And so after becoming a recruiter, since I had the recruiting and the logistics and the admin already, the 71 Lima and all, then I moved into the administration part. And I was admin in Medill. Went from Ardmore to Medill as a 1245 admin for that year, a little over a year before we got deployed to Iraq. And then I was platoon sergeant. And from platoon sergeant, the person that was the first sergeant was not going to be able to make it, so they frocked me. Everybody knows what that is on the frocking. And so they frocked me, and then while I was over there, I had to fight for my own position, but I made E8 while I was over there.
That's awesome.
And,
so what did you do over there?
First sergeant there. Well, I was first sergeant over, we was over compounds, over 4 compounds. There was four companies over these compounds. Anyhow, I went out and I checked on all the soldiers. Matter of fact, I got kudos, I guess, from that, from the colonel and the sergeant major, because I was the only one that could go out there all during the hours of the night or the day. I mean, they're working 12-hour shifts, so them poor boys, they need to know how the troops are, how they're feeling, and what's going on at home, what you can help them with. And, that's one thing I didn't much care for. But I'm not in charge. If I was in charge, I'd do a little bit different between the regular Army and the Guards and Reserves, and you'd have a heck of a unit. But everybody does things a little different. But me, myself, and I'm all about the troops. You take care of the troops, they'll take care of you.
That's true. I agree with that. And you always did. From my perspective, working with you, I always saw you doing that.
In and out.
Yeah, I always saw you taking care of your troops when I worked with you in the Joint Force, Oklahoma City. I saw that.
You hear me?
I can.
You get all that?
Yes. Yes, I did. So were you and your son assigned to the same unit in Iraq?
Do I now?
Were you and your son assigned to the same?
So I couldn't hear you.
Were you and your son assigned to the same unit in Iraq?
Yes, well, we was both in, but he was in different units. He was in 345, and I was in 1245. He was about him and my nephew was in the same unit, and they was probably about, I don't know, half a mile, 3/4 mile from me.
Oh wow, that's nice. Pretty close. You keep an eye on each other.
Yeah, so a little easier on the wild. Yeah, I got to check on them.
Right. Exactly. Well, that's great.
And we all eat the same mess hall.
So when you moved to Oklahoma City, what was your role? As just jock supervisor, or what did you do exactly on your AGR position there?
Yes, whenever we moved up there at the flagpole, we all call it here, Oklahoma, I guess, is went up there as the Joint Operations Center, the E8 in charge of that, and it's a different ball game, that's for sure. But since I had logistics, that helped me transition from the first sergeant back over to that pretty good. So that helps because that, that's what I do. The Joint Operations Center, that's as far as up there in Oklahoma City. Anytime, of course, but she was up there. But, as well as I do, that's whenever you call in all your assets, like if you had tornadoes, snowstorms, drought, place on fire, you on the logistics part, you help supply with the helicopters, the water buffaloes. You work with emergency management, so you work with, and emergency management. Everybody's got one, like Texas and Oklahoma's is OEM, and I guess Texas is TEM. I don't know, but everything that you had for emergencies, that was what we did up there at the Joint Operations Center in Oklahoma City, was to join our brethren of the emergency management for roads. I mean, that one year it was a bad snowstorm and people were stranded out on Interstate 40, and we would send people out to try to get them in out of the cold so they would freeze to death. And we did a lot of fires, a lot of wildfire helicopters was putting out fires and sucking water up out of ponds and stuff like that.
And feeding cattle too in the snowstorm.
I'm sorry.
And feeding cattle too in the snowstorm with the helicopter. When the snowstorm hit, you were feeding livestock too with the helicopter, right? Feeding livestock with the helicopter during the snowstorm?
Yes, they had. Yes.
Well, it looks like we lost our guest. His internet is having troubles. So what he was saying is, if you didn't catch it, is he worked at the Joint Operations Center in Oklahoma City at the Joint Force Headquarters. And his mission up there was to make sure that resources got to different parts of the state that were needing it. So when it came to fires, when it came to winter storms, when it came to flooding, anything that would require assets, he was in charge of making sure those assets got on the ground to the right place. And so he and I coordinated. On his side, he did National Guard forces, and on our side, my team side, we did the federal side of the DoD resources. So if they needed something on the DoD side, we helped coordinate with FEMA to get those resources on the ground for him and his teams in the state of Oklahoma. So that's where we're at, where he was stationed. So hopefully he'll be able to make it back on. But I'm going to take a quick break, and we're going to play Blue Mountain Tribe, Get on Your Harley and Ride. And then hopefully we'll be back with Terry.
street one day. I saw a girl, she was looking my way. I said, I'm riding to Sturgis, you wanna come along? She said, hey mister, that's where I belong. Get on your Harley. Get on your Harley. Get on your Harley and ride. Get on your Harley and ride. Get on your Harley, get on it and ride. Get on it and ride. Cruising down the highway, going where I choose. Riding down the road to get my chill and my groove. Easing frustration from the havoc and pain. Wanna ride my Harley to make my day. Beating speed through the country I love. Foreign attacks, push and shove. Getting ready to pass through this storm. Cause it's ugly with a mean old road. Get on your Harley. Get on your Harley. Get on your Harley and ride. Get on your Harley and ride. Get on your Harley, get on it and ride. Get on, get on, get on, get on your Harley and ride, ride, ride.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
And welcome back to Tracer Rounds, and I'm your host, Terry, and we lost our guest. We lost our guest, Terry. He was there, and then I lost him again. So hopefully he'll be able to join. But if you didn't hear what he was talking about that he was active duty for a while, and then he went to the Guard, and he was a recruiter, and then he was AGR, and AGR as a recruiter, and then went to the Joint Force headquarters in Oklahoma City, and he worked there, and he worked in logistics, and he was the JOC, or the Joint Operations Manager, and he coordinated resources for events that were happening in Oklahoma, and then for mutual aid with other states if they needed it, because, in FEMA Region 6, you have Texas, you have Oklahoma, you have New Mexico, you have Louisiana, and you have Arkansas. So all those states and all the Guard have mutual aid agreements with those other Guard units, or the governors with those other states, to provide resources if needed. in the state. And, Oklahoma tends to have tornadoes, tends to have icing and snowstorms, tends to have flooding. I think pretty much everything that you can find, aside from having a hurricane. We don't have hurricanes in Oklahoma, but we have a lot of other natural acts of God, as you would call them, or as the insurance calls them, acts of God. So hopefully he'll be able to jump back on. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about him, and I was trying to find his bio online. I didn't find it, but he actually was a mayor of a town in Oklahoma, and he's actually a big volunteer, and he chairs, I think, or at least sits on at least 6 boards. So he's a busy guy, and he really is all about the people and all about, making sure that all the things that a board member is supposed to do, that he does, and that the board acts in the best interests of the people. And that's what he was talking about when he talked about that he was one of the only first sergeants that would go out and take care of the troops, just see how they were doing, just touch base, just check in. I mean, because if you know the job of a command sergeant major, you know that his only job is the troops. So when a first sergeant in that capacity is acting in that capacity, and you know that he is responsible solely for the troops, and then obviously supporting the command, that Terry's doing his job, and I think he's just popped back in. So we're gonna bring him up on stage, and there he is. And I was just saying nothing but good things about you.
Oh, sure. No, I'm just kidding.
I was talking about how you coordinated resources, and how, Oklahoma is one of the busiest states in FEMA. Well, besides Louisiana, I guess, in FEMA Region 6, because of the flooding, because of snowstorms, because of not hurricanes, but tornadoes, and just fires. Exactly. Yeah. So if you don't mind, can you just give a brief recap of what you're talking about? Because I think that we missed a little bit of it. So just kind of talk through your service one more time, if you don't mind.
Okay. At the jock.
Well, so when you enlisted, how old you were, and then kind of your career progression that got you to the jock. Yeah.
Okay. 28, whenever I went to the military, late bloomer in life, I guess you call it. Spent 3 years active, got out, did the 6 years in the Guards. The 3 years was 16 Juliet, radar operator on the FAR. It's called a forward area alerting radar. Hadn't too much of a life expectancy, so I'm glad I wasn't in the wartime during that time. But anyhow, then got out, went in the Guards for 6 years. During those 6 years in the Guards, I was 71 Lima, 88 November, with Lima's admin. Then 88 November at that time was logistics. Then I was offered a full-time recruiting job. And so I went to 79 Bingo School. And I recruited for the Guards for 8 years. After that, I got a little burnout after 8 years. So I went into admin on the 1245, the unit that I recruited for. Matter of fact, that was the first time, and I can't remember, like 20 or 30 years that 345 and 1245 had ever been above 100% strength whenever I was recruiting for them.
Oh, wow.
But I'd been the mayor of Tishomingo. I know a lot of people. I mean, as you can tell, I didn't have to learn a whole lot of recruiting, because just the legal part of it, I guess, because I like to talk anyhow. But anyhow, I did recruiting for 8 years, and then I got into the administration part. I got out of recruiting, got into admin after about a little over a year. We went to Iraq. Me and my son and nephew. My son and nephew was in a different unit. I was platoon sergeant 1245. The first sergeant didn't deploy with us, so I wound up getting frocked. And then after we was there for about, a couple months, then I got, got the hard pen of being an E8 as the first sergeant where. Spent 9 months over there, come home, spent another year at Medill as the admin over there. But since I was the E8 as E7 position, I only had a year And so then I had to find me another position. So I wound up being up the Joint Operations Center in Oklahoma City.
And that's where we met up.
And that's where me and you met up. That's right. And loved every minute. You was a good hand. I guarantee you that.
Well, thank you.
And I sure miss y'all. I really do. In the military, as well as I do, you meet lots of good people.
You do.
Don't get me wrong, folks. Everybody knows out there you meet some bad ones too. But I ain't gonna call no names. But anyhow, Sergeant Lynch or Terry Lynch that's doing this show right now was a great troop. She really was. I had a lot of respect for her, and the Air Force colonel and an Army colonel.
Right.
But like I say, sorry, where's the computer? But if I could, like I was saying earlier, I don't know if you caught it or not. I'm not in charge, but if you could take parts of the Guard, parts of the Reserve, and parts of the regular Army and combine them into one, it'd be a heck of a force. But everybody does things a little bit different.
This is true.
But
It's true.
everybody is different too. But so it's what makes the world go round, I guess.
It does.
But,
How was
go ahead.
recruiting duty? What did you think about that? Did you find that hard, or was that easy for you?
I loved it. I
Yeah.
really did. I loved it. And back at that time, you had to put in 3 a month.
Oh, wow.
And so I might fail my mission this month or next month, but then I'd make up for it. I was always on mission until the last year. But the last year, that is whenever 1245 and 345 got activated in 2003. And they was called up like on a Monday, and Friday they handed me the keys to the Army. The major handed me the keys, and he said, "We'll see you." And I'm the only one sitting there in the Army that has to take care of the Army, still put in 3 people a month. They also had a family support group that come and met that I'd have to let in.
Oh, wow.
It got pretty hairy. Matter of fact, I didn't make mission. Was threatened to be fired, all that good stuff. But as a good Lord willing, creek don't rise. IG was told about it, I guess, from somebody, whatever. Anyhow, he stopped by one night. I didn't know who he was. And he just told me he wanted to check out that armory, and said he'd been to Dallas to his mother. And he sat right there and watched me doing cold calls and answering the phone and doing family support group, and troops calling me from over in Iraq. And because in 03, they didn't have no up armor. I mean, they had to make their own stuff.
Yeah.
That's where I think that the Guards and the Reserves really shined for these generals and stuff over there, because you got people that does a job out there, plumber, electrician, whatever, during the week, and
Right.
they're 1 weekend a month they're in the Reserve or the Guard. So that's, you don't have to have so many. I mean, nothing against anybody, but that goes back to what I was saying is, whenever I was in the regular Army, I got rode up one time because I'm an old country boy, and this radar, the fuse went out on it, so I replaced the fuse.
Yeah.
So I got rode up. I said, "Well, that burn is more like a union. you can't replace that fuse. You got to call somebody."
Right. You can't just take care of business. You got to call somebody else to take care of business.
That's right.
So
I guess that's-
Joker C. Madness wants to know what your most memorable deployment was.
Well, I only been on. I've been to Panama. I've been to Azerbaijan, and I've been to Iraq. And Panama, I'd have to say Panama, and Iraq was my longest deployment, I guess you could say. But I'd have to say Panama was pretty nice. I met a lot of nice people there. It was a beautiful country.
Yeah. What were you doing in Panama? What was the mission?
Well, we was down there helping. We was helping put in a water. We're doing like a water tower up on top of a hill, because these the people that live down there, more or less, Cambodia, I guess you could say. But we had to fly in there on Chinook helicopters, and we took a lot of clothes in there. Humanitarian, I guess, would be the mission. And as well as I do, how nasty the Red River is between Oklahoma and Texas.
Yeah.
We crossed the river because the missioner, or the chaplain's house, I guess, was on this side, and their village was on the other side. And so we had to get these cut out. I mean, it just amazed me because it was like I went back in time. But the little guy in his loincloth sitting over the back of the boat and had his pole, and me and another soldier that were pretty wide, I guess you could call it, and pretty stout. And at that time, I was really running. I wasn't as heavy as I am now, but we were still pretty built good. But we got in that canoe, me and him did, and our knuckles was dragging the water as this guy was pushing us across this thing. And I told Jack, I said, "Boy, whatever you do, don't you move. I don't be in this water." So we got across to the other side of the bank, though, and went up there, and it was the wildest thing I'd ever seen. We climbed up there at the top of that hill, and the chief gave the instructions, and they all took out their machetes. And man, they leveled that sugar cane field up there, gave us some sugar cane. We was all sitting around eating it. But that was our mission up there, is we was putting where we catch rainwater and filter it for them and run it down the hill so they'd have drinking water, because they bathed and drank everything come out of something just like the Red River. I mean, it was just nasty. I mean, I catch a lot of catfish out of the Red River stuff, but I mean, I sure don't want to swim in it.
No.
The only time I ever swam in it, my white underwear turned red. Put it that way.
Right. Yeah. It's not something you want to be drinking, and it's definitely not something you want to be bathing in, for sure.
That's right. So,
yeah, I'm not even sure about fish from there. I'm really not.
But it's I got a little trouble down there with that too, because those people. It was so weird because they had the grass huts. This was in the 90s, I guess, when I was down there. They had the grass huts, and, they had bananas hanging off of them. I mean, that was what they eat. But we gave some of them kids some of our candy and stuff out of our MREs. And boy, that's a big no-no. Oh, yeah, you don't do that. But, we didn't know. We just been friendly. The only thing that was modern down there in that whole village was they had a concrete basketball court with a basketball goal at each end, and a little building, and that was it.
Oh, wow.
Other than that, it was just huts everywhere. And the grandpa, the grandma, the mom, the dad, the son, his wife, the daughter and her husband, whatever. You had like 4 or 5 families living in one hut.
Wow.
So it was pretty neat. I mean, I really loved that one.
Yeah, that sounds like a really nice mission. I love those humanitarian missions where you get to do some good in the neighborhood and, really, really do some PR work for the U.S. over there. I did that in Jamaica, and I mean, not that Jamaica is a third world country. It certainly isn't, but we did, there were like 6 missions going on when I was there. And those are always really, really kind of gives you an impact. It helps your heart, to know that we're doing good across the world. Yep. Definitely. So tell us about being a mayor. What is that like? How did you get nominated? Did you nominate yourself? Did someone put you on the ballot? What happened with that?
Well, I was, my family is, I guess you're female, you're a nurse. And if you was a male, you was more or less a cop. So I've been around politics a lot all my life growing up. Anyhow, in Tishomingo, they needed, at the time, they was wanting another council member. And after coming back from the Army, we'd lived in Tish. I lived in Tish all my life, except to go play 3 years in the Army, then come back. And anyhow, they was wanting somebody for council member. So they hit my wife up, and she didn't want to do it. She said, well, you need to go down there and you apply. She said, because you always talk about what get politics. And I said, shoot, I won't get elected on that. So anyhow, I just kind of stumbled into that, and I was on city council for 1, 2, 3 years, I guess. And then I become the mayor, and then I was the mayor for another 3 or 4 years. So it's definitely a different world.
Yes.
Because I love history and I love political science, or I did. But after going up and watching Congress and everything, I just no, that wasn't for me. Maybe I should have, but no, I couldn't do that. I'm just not. I'm not cut out to gripe at you face to face, and then that evening we go out and have a good, steak or something other. I'm not that type of person. what I say is what I mean, and that's just my handshake is my handshake. That's my bond, and I couldn't do that. I mean, nothing against our politicians. It takes certain people to do that, but if I was a politician right now, I'd probably be shooting somebody. I'd probably be in jail.
Nah, no, you figure it out.
Yeah,
you would just be like, no, stay true to your word. Your word is what you said when you took the job, so that's what you need to do.
Well, whenever I come out here, whenever I retired out of the military in 2014, I was hit up to run for sheriff, county commissioner, state representative, congressman, and senator.
Wow.
I said, nope, I don't want none of those. And instead, now I'm on 6 boards, and I'm chairman of 3 of them, vice chairman of another one, and just there are a couple others. But wow. So now I'm on 6 boards. Maybe I should have been a politician. At least I got paid for that. I don't get paid for these 6.
Yeah, these are for God under a country. These
Yeah,
are just for the goodness of your heart.
Yeah. Makes me feel good though. I mean, I try to do what's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people, all they got to do is just do the right thing and look to the future. Don't look what's happening tomorrow. I mean, the reason why I got on all these boards is because of my grandkids. You know, my kids and my grandkids. Because one of them is a rural water board. Another one is the cemetery board, I guess, and another one is BFW. So just people didn't get involved in these boards, and I'm not in spring chicken anymore. But whenever I think I am in my mind, but my mind tells me I'm still 40. My back tells me I'm 140.
Just tell it to be quiet. Just tell it to stop.
Yeah. Well, I try to, but crawling in them tractors, cutting hay and everything every summer is about to wear me down.
Right. So I was telling everybody the last time you were going to be on and you weren't able to make it, that you had the makings of a story, because you told me it was a donkey and it was a tractor and it was a hay bale, and there was something going on with those 3.
Yep. Well, the donkeys was trying to get out the gate, and I was trying to get in the gate with the hay bale. And I've got I'm too kind-hearted, because my daughter, when we moved out here, she brought this little miniature horse out here for my grandson, and it had been in town at this lady's house, like in I don't know, 8 by 10 maybe, chain link fence area. So I said, yeah, that's fine. Make sure you bring it out here, man. But I said, you got to feed water. Okay, Daddy. I said, that's y'all's responsibility.
Right.
Well, we brought it out here. We turned that little old miniature horse loose. Man, I thought I was going to have a heart attack, because it's 13 years old at that time. Yeah. And it took off, and it ran, because they got 100 acres, and just took off running. I didn't think we were ever going to see it again. And but come to find out, the miniature horses, I think they last for about 30 years. So I think Rachel and my grandson's time as far as feeding and watering that miniature horse was about a week. And they moved out and moved on, and I still got the miniature horse out here. So
that's the way it works.
Yep. And so now then, I told her one day, I said, well, I'd like to have a donkey. I heard it was good for cows. At that time, I didn't know that donkeys, if you have a miniature, I should have just kept the miniature horse, because she was like a babysitter. I mean, all the cows, all the calves, that miniature horse, old Sugar, she'd stay over by all them calves all the time. And she watched them, and the cows would be all out eating. And but then whenever I got the donkey, Rachel told me that, well, Daddy, I found you a donkey, but you got to take 2. I said, I don't want 2. Well, come to find out, I had to take the 2, and I was going to get rid of one, and we found a guy that wanted one. Well, about 3 months later, my daughter called me and says, Daddy said, have we got a baby donkey? And I said, what? She said, yeah. I said, both those was bred. And so now then I've got a mother and daughter donkey along with a miniature horse out here.
Oh, no.
And so whenever you open the gate to take any hay in there, them 3 would have run out. I don't know why, because they'll come right back in, but it's just aggravating. You open the gate, and you're trying to get up the tractor, and I'm disabled a little bit. It'd help. I mean, I can't get in and out real fast anymore, or just never could. But anyhow, usually by the time I get in the tractor, they're right there at the gate. Sometimes they're in, sometimes they're not. And if they get out, they go back in, but you got to get a bucket of feed. And if you don't have no feed, you got to get some rocks or something there. I put in the bucket and rattle it, so they'll come to you.
Right. Got to trick them.
Yep. So anyhow, that's what was going on at that night, and there's something else happening that night. I'm trying to remember. Tractor was best. I don't remember out there. That's been a while back because I've been pretty much stable in my house since January because my wife she fell and messed up her back, so
Yeah.
she can't hardly get out of the house right now. But we're going in for surgery next Monday, so hopefully that'll get her where she can get up, get around.
Yeah, I hope so.
This is the first year since 2012 that I didn't already have all my garden planted, and I hadn't got nothing planted yet.
Oh goodness, yeah, that's a big project too. It's a big job to get a garden planted. How big is your garden?
Oh, I don't know. It's I usually plant like shoot, I don't know how big it would be. I ain't never really measured it. I know it's too big.
Yes, too big, too much to do.
Yeah, but I just can't do it. I mean, usually I plant 12, 15 tomato plants, and about 4 rows of onions, and a row of watermelons, a row of cantaloupe. Then I put a row of potatoes. I don't do corn and I don't do okra anymore. Corn just don't do very good out here. Then okra, I can't eat that much of it anymore. Diverticulitis. So, but the tomatoes, I love tomatoes. I love onions. And so does all the grandkids and everybody else. But it seems like I'm the only one, except for Majority, my wife, that help me plant it.
Right.
They always tell me every year, yeah, we're going to help you plant it, but nobody ever shows up.
Right. Well, so you invite them for dinner and then say, guess what? Before dinner, we're doing the garden. And then we'll have dinner.
Yep. But I also do, I do lettuce. I do my own lettuce. I'm trying to think of what all I got in there. Lettuce, cucumbers, peppers, tomatoes, onions, potatoes, cantaloupe, squash, and watermelon. Yep. That's what all I plant.
Wow. And do you raise beef too?
Yes, I've got probably 15 mama cows right now, and they take some calves still. I think I got 9 calves, and then I got 2 bulls now.
Oh wow, you've got a big job out there. It sounds like with the donkeys and the mini, and then with the garden and all the livestock. It sounds like you're quite busy.
Yeah, I always tell everybody. They said, "Well, you're retired." I said, "No, I'm retarded," because I went from being retired. I work more now than I ever worked my whole life. I think harder.
Right. Yeah, it's a big job keeping up with all that.
I always thought that I wanted 360 acres. Crap. I think I'd be happy with about 2 acres right now because this 100 acres is enough to wear you out. Between fence and cattle and everything. It just
right.
Careful what you wish for, folks. All I can tell you.
Right. Exactly. So, are you still riding your Harley?
Yes. Well, I was up till 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I started getting a tractor one day and I felt my right arm pull, and I thought, man, I couldn't figure out what was up. Well, the next morning I couldn't even lift that arm up. So I rocked on there for a while. I didn't want to go to the doctor because it was hay season. So I wound up.
Had things to do. Can't go to the doctor right now.
Yep.
I'm
so
busy.
I did that hay season, all hay season with one arm, and put that one in the sling. That fall, I went to the doctor, and my rotary cup was messed up.
Oh man.
And they told me a reverse shoulder surgery or replacement was necessary. So I went to see another doctor, and he said, "Oh yeah, I can fix that." But what had happened is probably 7 years ago, I hit a deer at 2013 Street Glide, and I wasn't wearing nothing but tennis shoes, a pair of shorts, and a t-shirt.
Oh wow!
And it hit it at 60 miles an hour. Well, it kind of tore things up. I just didn't know it did.
Right? Yeah.
I thought I was all right because
figure out. Yeah. Oh goodness.
I remember right before I hit her, and next thing I know, I was seeing black and white. And I thought, well, I guess the good Lord's figuring out if I'm going to heaven or hell. And then it dawned on me, you took it down or up. I was wondering when I was going to stop. But I got up, walked back over to my bike. I was very fortunate. The Lord left me here for some reason. But anyhow, I imagine that's when I tore. Because I tore my heel, my leg, and all before. And that's what the doctor kept asking me, loud pop. And I said, no, but I was flipping down the road. I'm going to hear a lot. anyhow, he repaired it. So my bike worked on right now because the electronic fuel ignition didn't work. Because after that wreck, back up here, my son was in Iraq for the second time.
Uh-huh.
And, I had his bike and my bike. And that was the first thing everybody asked me, are you going to buy you a new bike? And I said, nope, not just yet. I'm going to ride my son's. I need to buy me a bike. I'd have to go back rotating and get Lincoln's back. So whenever he got home, I went and bought me another bike. And I rode it up until, I guess, 2 years ago. And then, to do the throttle. But now I can lift my arm all up. But now my motorcycle, my Harley won't run.
Oh, no.
Sturgis 3 times. That's a wild place, but not as wild as Sparks, Oklahoma is. But anyhow, I guess everybody has to have an outlet, and ride that Harley with my out. But your last couple of years, I can tell mentally that I need it for a ride.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of freedom in riding a motorcycle, I think.
Yeah, but you see so much more. I mean, after the wreck, you got my buddies to go for, up there, and I would drive. I mean, I wasn't driving about 70. And they all cruise up there about 90. I'll go right here. I know my way up there, and I know my way home. I say, cause none of them had a wreck yet. I mean, when you're on a motorcycle, it's not. It's what they'll say. We ain't gonna have it. You're gonna wreck eventually.
Yeah.
Not ever bulletproof. Everybody think you are, but you're not.
Right.
You wear boots and helmet now.
Yeah, I would definitely boots and helmet for sure. Well, we'll take a quick break, and then hopefully Terry will be back. I think he's having internet troubles. He's a little rural in where he's living. Obviously, he told you he's on 320 plus acres, so his internet probably isn't the best. So we're going to play this Child of This Land by Dallas Alexander, and then we'll be right back.
Everywhere I go, trouble seems to find me. There ain't no place that I fit in. Raised in the backwoods, and just like him, oh, I'm a fighting man. Well, I was born with a gun in my hand, child of this land. Lord, please save me from my sins, out here howling in the wind. Look to the west, see your sunset. Someday kneel at the pew. This old wasteland trouble seems to find me. There ain't no place that I fit in.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Welcome back to MBR, and we're giving veterans a voice. And tonight's veteran is Terry Hutchins, and he is kind of having internet issues. But I don't know if you heard what he said, but I wanted to reiterate what he said. He said, anybody that rides a bike at some point in time is going to have an accident. It's not a matter of if, it's when. So just be prepared, wear your helmet, wear your gear that's going to protect you so that if you do go down, that you've got the best chance of coming out of it on the good side. So that's what he was saying, if you kind of missed his internet issues there. And so I just wanted to let you know what he said, because I think it's important. I love motorcycles and horses and things like that, but you always have to be prepared, because you never know when something or someone is going to be in your way or come out in front of you, something, and you're going to have to put the bike down, or you've got to maneuver past somebody and then the bike slides. You just never know. I've ridden on the back of a motorcycle all my childhood with my stepdad and my uncle. They rode motorcycles everywhere. We did a trip every Sunday going to the coast or doing something from Idaho. There's always somewhere to ride up in the mountains. So yes, I agree. We slid out a couple of times on some rocks going around a curve. Luckily enough, it didn't lay down, but you just never know. So just be safe. But I did want to kind of wrap up what he was saying. And he was also saying, he didn't really want to be somebody that was in an office, because he's a man of his word, and he just expects people, if there's a handshake involved, that people are going to do what that handshake says they're going to do. And he's just not really one that, likes to argue. And then, behind closed doors, then, everybody's friends again. He really, what you see is what you get with him. And so he's not of the type where, you put on one face in public and then another face behind closed doors. He's definitely not that. He's a true, country gentleman, and he expects everyone to abide by what they say and what they do. So I'm sorry he's not able to jump back on, but he was a great NCO. He was a really good recruiter, as you heard. He really put a lot of people in and met quota most of the time, and he really just wants to do good. So I really wanted you to see that side of him and really understand the type of person he is and the type of leader he is. And he still is, he sits on 6 boards. So obviously he's still doing the job, just doing a different job. Still connected to the military with the VFW, and still, has that, we talk often, and, just kind of stay in touch, because the military in general is a small community, and we all kind of shift ourselves towards those that understand where we've been and the kind of career that we've had in the military. So we all just kind of gravitate toward one another that way. And so I want to thank all the people that were on tonight, all the different hosts, and we have Terry back. So now he can talk for himself. So I'll put him up on the screen. Hold on one sec. There you are.
Yeah. Sorry. I had to walk out here by the garden.
So you're not going to start working on it, are you?
No. I just want to show you. It's I don't know if you see it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's big.
Kind of cutting in and out again, but you dogs quit.
Yeah, it's a big garden.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
So anyhow, okay, because I only got 1 bar, so I'm trying to get to where I got 2. You got to step in the right spot out here, I guess. But anyhow, I don't even remember what I was talking about now.
Well, we were talking about the Harley, and you were talking about it's not a matter of if you're going to have an accident, it's when. So be prepared.
Yep. Because I wasn't, and you're never invincible. I mean, you're always invincible. Don't ever think you're not.
Right. Yeah, you didn't.
But
you
it's
didn't anticipate that deer coming out in front of you, did you?
No. I topped that hill, and I seen this car look like it stopped, and I thought, man, what's the car doing? Well, I looked and I said, oh, shoot, that's a deer. So I knew why it stopped. And I thought, well, to hit the deer, it hit that five strand barbed wire fence. So I figured the deer would be a little easier.
Right.
That barbed wire fence, I didn't want to lose my head.
Right. Yeah. The fence isn't moving so much. The deer might move out of the way, might jump out of the way at the last minute and take less of a hit that way. That's
what I was hoping. I'd lay down on the horn and everything else, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
But,
so,
I mean, I just can't believe, was my neighbor, she was the one that was behind the deer.
Yeah.
They come over to see me about a day after I got out of the hospital, because I was in the hospital about 3 days.
Yeah.
But I told her, I said, yeah, all I could think of, since I didn't have a helmet, was put my hand over my head, put my arms over my head to protect my head. She said, honey, I hate to tell you this, but you look like a catfish out of water. You was flopping everywhere. Your hands was nowhere around your head. And I said, well, maybe I just thought so mentally, and that protected me, because I can't believe I didn't have a scratch, nothing on my head. I mean, nothing.
Wow.
It was all from my right shoulder above my arm, well, right there at my right shoulder where your arm connects, all the way down my left side. So.
Oh, wow. We've got like 2 minutes left. So is there any closing thoughts you want to share, or anything you want to say to anybody who's listening tonight?
Well, anybody that's listening, I'd like to thank everybody that's ever been in the military service. I appreciate your service. A lot of people do. This whole country's going to get better one of these days. It can't get much more worse than it was. But anyhow, stand strong, stand fast. Always be prepared. And I love all my service brothers and sisters. And thank you for your service so much from the bottom of my heart, because there's a lot of people out there that couldn't serve, but they've served in different ways, and they respect the veterans. So always remember, people are watching. So try to do your best.
That's true. That's good advice. You're absolutely right. And thank you for your service, and thank you for what you did in the military, and thank you for what you're still doing, because you're still serving. So I appreciate everything you're doing for the community.
You bet. Thank you so much. And again, the military services get to meet good people like you do.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. You're good people. I was bragging on you while you were off, so you'll have to watch it on replay and see.
Okay. Well, y'all, anybody's ever up around by north of Milburn, Oklahoma, well, I got some rocking chairs out on the front porch. We'll sit there and have a glass of tea or Kool-Aid or adult beverage or whatever you want and reminisce.
Sounds good. I'll have to come take you up on that.
You come on, bring your horses. You got plenty of places to ride.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Well, this is Teresa Round signing off, and thank you so much, Terry, for being on tonight. And we appreciate your service. And this is MBR, giving veterans a voice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.